What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Sannoh Football, guys. The Premier League is back, right? We are what less than 24 hours away from the first match, Arsenal versus Coventry, which is going to be really interesting. Of course, we saw what Arsenal did last weekend on the Community Shield, but if it's for anything, Community Shield usually just justify who's going to win the league. So let's leave that way at. Today, I'm trying to do something that everybody, most fans, most YouTubers have already done already, which is basically predicting the Premier League. I'm gonna try to do all 20. It might be a long video. I'm trying not to make it too long, but but it might just be over 20 minutes. So sit tight. And some of the prediction I'm gonna make might end up coming biting me back at the end of the season, because I might get them completely wrong. And I'm hoping for some teams to actually prove me wrong, because it's hard to stay in the Premier League, and it's one of those leagues where even when you have some of the best teams, some of the best players, you will struggle. So, and I'm hoping to be wrong for some teams, because I would love for some teams to stay in the top six or in the top four or whatever it is. But of course, and it's something that usually even the best of the best YouTubers don't get right, because it's football. It can be wrong. One week you're getting right, next week you're getting it completely wrong. So, I'm hoping to be proven wrong for some teams, but of course, some teams it's just inevitable because the league is so tough. So I'm gonna do the best I can, like I said, to predict all the top 20 teams where I think they're gonna finish. And then, of course, there's some surprising teams in the top four, in the top five for me, and even in the Champions League position that might make it, and some teams that are big teams that are not going to make it. So, yeah, and at the end of the season, we'll come back and check it out and see where, how we did, um, how we're going to do it. And, of course, I'll be open to comments and all that kind of stuff. Of course, some fans are going to say things. Please, I'll be open to all the comments and stuff like that. But before I go any further, guys, if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video as well, and share. And let me know down in the comment below who you think is going to win the league, who's going to be the top goal scorer, goalkeeper. They say a lot of things to really predict, but I'm sure a lot of us are not going to do that. We're just going to see what we can to predict the top 20. And like I said, this might not be in depth breakdown for every team. It might just be, just a shallow one where you'd be like, okay, this is where I think they're gonna finish, and maybe a couple of reasons. So the video cannot be too long, right? It's already long at this point. What is 2 minutes and we're still talking? So let's just get into it. I think for me, I'm gonna start from the top, from the bottom all the way to the top. Um, I think for 20, I'm gonna go with Hull City. Unfortunately, um, for Hall, looking at their squad, looking at them in the championship last season, it was tough. It was tough for them as well, but they did everything they can to make it to the league. This league is tough. So I look at their squad. They are not just, they don't have enough. The depth is not there. I mean, the experience is not there. They have some good players that are gonna have to stand out really if they want to have any chance. But I just don't think they're gonna make it. They have some tough games. Their first few games, I'm looking at the games that they have, especially the top five, the first 5 games, is really, really difficult. Really, really difficult there. They got Man United. I mean, that's a tough game to open up as a team like Hall, where you don't have enough. Their best players. They have some couple of players, Mark Burney and all these guys, but that's just not gonna be enough. Mark Burney's there, Liverpool is there, Coley, Hodges. They have good players, but they're not just Premier League level. And Premier League level is just completely different, man. You're gonna have to have elite players. You're gonna have to have experienced players, and your coaches. They make a huge difference. So for Hall, it's just not gonna be enough, especially when you're starting with, your first game you got Man United, and then after that, yes, you might get a point against Coventry, and then after that, it's just crazy. They have Aston Villa, they have Chelsea, and Newcastle United. Those are tough games. After that, they have Everton. So they could be right at the bottom with maybe, I'm looking at maybe conceding 4 goals a game, and they could be sitting right at the bottom. And usually for the first 5, 10 games, for the first 5 games, if you find yourself at the bottom, it's very, very difficult. So I have them going right back down, unfortunately. I would love for this team to stay up because it's not easy. to make it back up. Some of these teams have not been in the league for so long. Number 19 for me, I'm going to go Ipswich Town. Unfortunately, it's the same thing too. I know they have Gary O'Neill. I love Gary O'Neill. I think he's one of those coaches that have a lot of experience, and he ends up with teams usually that are just not there. Like I remember he was with Wolves a couple of seasons ago, and I don't know he went to France, coached there for a season or two, and then Ipswich Town, their coach left, that brought them up to the league, so he left, needed a break, and then they need a coach. They do need a coach, and they want to get Gary O'Neill. I think Gary O'Neill has a lot of experience. They have a lot of experience. They have players that can keep them in the league. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. I really don't think it's going to be enough because I'm looking at their first five games. They have Sutherland. I think really for Ipswich, I think they're going to be able to pick up points in the early stages because the teams that they're playing with Gary O'Neill, with the experience that they have, I think they're going to be fine. They have some good players. They have Cooper Akpong. We know that. They also have uh, 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 that midfielder, one of their best midfielder actually, Liv Davis. So that's pretty good for me. Emerson is there, Azor is there. They have good players, but it's just not going to be enough. I'm looking at this midfield. They brought in some players, but the squad is just small, man. I mean, some of the league itself, you have to have big squad and also experience. I think for me, experience matter. Yes, Gary O'Neill has experience. He's been around the league long enough to know what to do, but from September to December is really, really tough. The first few games they have, it's not that difficult. They have Sunderland, and of course they have a League Cup, Manchester United, Liverpool. See, that's what I'm saying. Look at that. They can get a point from Sunderland. I think they will get a point at Sunderland, but right after that they have five difficult games. You have to go away to United. There's not going to be no point there. They have to play home against Liverpool. There's not going to be no point there. Crystal Palace, they might get a point there. Everton, yeah. So by the time you get into October, they might be sitting what, second bottom. So it's tough. It's tough. I just don't think they're gonna have enough. For me, that's why I just think they're gonna finish 19. I just don't think it's there. Let's go to the next relegation. The team that I think is gonna relegate, unfortunately for me, I think is gonna be Coventry. Yeah, Frank Lampard again. Like I said, I'm happy to see Frank Lampard back in the league. He deserved. I like the effort. He deserved to be coaching. He deserved to be in the Premier League. I like the effort that he's doing everything he can to come back to the league, and they won the championship last year. They were really good, but again, it's one of those teams where you come into the league and then you get a shock. Like all the teams in the league are just too strong. They just been there. They just know the teams that you can compete with. The Fulham, the Sutherland. They already know what to do. They have the players. Most of them keeping all their players from last season. They have experience. The coaches have experience now, so it's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult for Ipswich and any of this team, Coventry, to have any way to stay in the league. For me, I think Lampard is going to do everything he can. He has experience coaching Everton, coaching Chelsea, and things like that. I think for the neutral fans, it will be fantastic to have Lampard in the league, but I just don't think it's going to be enough either. They have a lot of work to do. They have some players, that I think they're going to be okay in terms of certain areas, but for overall, in 38 games, I just don't think it's going to be enough depth. Onyeka is pretty good. They have really good players over there too. Rodoni, really good players. Like I said, they won the league. Haji Wright, really good. As a US fan, seeing Haji Wright play for Coventry is going to be exciting. Yeah, they have players, but it's just not going to be enough. I think they're going to go right back down for me. I think Frank Lampard is going to do everything. They brought in some players as well. Kuba Yakuyi, they brought in Charles, Rushworth, 22.5 million. All these teams are buying players. That's the funny part, right? All the teams that are coming up are spending a lot of money because there's a lot of money in the league. But again, all these are new players coming to the league. The league is completely different as well. I do want Coventry to prove me wrong. I want them to. My goal is I would love for one of these teams from the championship to at least stay. So somebody like Coventry will be exciting. Frank Lampard, I think for the English game itself, for Premier League, it's exciting to see a lot of English coaches, at the top division. And that's pretty much it for me. I think it's just not going to be enough. Yeah, Frank Lampard, unfortunately, proved me wrong. I want to be proven wrong. So I think they are going to relegate. They're going to go right back with the rest of the guys that came up. Let's go 17. Leeds. Leeds will stay up. They surprised everybody last season, especially at the end of the season. They were really good, right? They're gonna stay in the league. I think they're gonna stay in the league, but they will struggle. They are really gonna struggle. Comparing from last season to now, last season they finished what? Let's see. I think Leeds finished 14th, and the last four games it was incredible. All the players, all they just kind of like click into form. I think they won what 4 or 5 games back to back. They brought in a goalkeeper, James Trafford, for 40 million. I think it's going to transform their back line. They have some good players there. They really have good players at that team, because they have a player I even wanted at Arsenal. Their coach Farker is going to figure out how to keep them in the league again. So I think they're fine. I think they'll survive. Survivor last season. They're a hardworking team. The coach will do really well with them this season again. They do need more quality. 40 million on the goalkeeper will give you enough to build from the back, but is it going to be enough though? I'm not too sure. Looking at their first team itself, I mean they do have tough games, but again, these are teams that can beat. That's the one positive about Leeds, right? Their first 5 games they are winnable games. These are not teams that they were not able to beat last year. Some of these teams they beat, right? Yeah, they play Nottingham Forest back to back because they have the League Cup as well. I think they can get point at Nottingham Forest. They play Brentford. They have Brighton, Newcastle, Crystal Palace. 5 games, I think they can put points on the board, which is why I think they will stay in the league. Although they don't have enough depth, they don't have enough in terms of squad wise, they're not big enough. But again, I think they're going to stay in the league comfortably. Dan Fraka is going to get them play exactly how they play last season, so there's not going to be no worry. I'm comfortable that Leeds will stay in the top division for sure. So yeah, so I put them 17th. Crystal Palace will finish 16th for me. I think they are just going to be Crystal Palace. I know Oliver Glasner left and they brought in new coach as well. I think they're going to be fine. They're not going to relegate. There's no way because they got a good goalkeeper. They got Anderson over there. They have a bunch of goalkeepers actually. The team is the same, right? They only maybe lost a couple of players. They lost Lacroix. Who else did they lose that is a really massive player for them? Not really, not that much. So although Oliver Glasner, who is a big loss actually, because they do have a lot of experience in that team. Muniz is still there, Mitchell. I mean, JD Covert, these guys are still there. They brought in Tamiyasu to help with that backline team. We all know Tamiyasu is a good center back, right? They have a good team. They have, Chris Richards still there. In terms of the midfield, it's the same thing. Jefferson Lemon is still there. Jeremy Pino is still there. Will he just stay? Adam Wharton, they have to keep hold of Adam Wharton if they want to have any chance of staying in the league. He's a massive player. I know City was just inquiring about him a day or two ago, so they got to keep hold of him. If they can keep hold of Wharton and then obviously put it, keep Mateta. United should be looking at Mateta, so if they need a striker. But I think their squad is so thin. But again, they're one of those teams where it's just not gonna happen for them not for them to relegate. They have games that they can win. Everton is gonna be a good game on Saturday, which I think they can get a point at Everton, although they're gonna go away. But it's Everton, and then of course City is they can lose City. Excuse me, and then they have Fulham. That's a game they can win, and then Ipswich. See, they're starting first 5-10 games. It's pretty decent, so they can pick up a lot of points even with the new coach. So I think Crystal Palace, for me, they will just finish in 16th position, 15. Bournemouth. I think for me, Bournemouth will finish 15th this year, mainly because Iriola left. He was their coach for what? For a few seasons. So he had them playing some really dynamic football, right? Attacking football. They will pressure you to. They even beat us a couple of seasons that Arsenal, what? How many times we beat Bournemouth? We've lost to them 3 times now. 3-1. I think it's like three, and we've lost 3 times and we've beat them once. So they're a pretty good team. They were really good last season. But again, like I said, with Ariola leaving, going to Liverpool, that means they had an open space for a new coach. Marco Rosen came in. He's an attacking coach. He's a really good coach, coaching in Germany for the past few seasons. He has a lot of experience as a coach. I think Bournemouth's strength is definitely in the midfield. Adam Scott is there. Everybody likes Scott, of course, and then they do have, let me see. I think they have, yeah, Adams. They have Tyler Adams still there. I think they are really good in the midfield. They have Troth, they have Scott, they have Christensen. Their midfield is stacked. They can score goals for sure. They have Lewis Cook, so and then they have David Brooks, of course. So they can score goals. Goal scoring is not going to be their issue. I think their problem is going to come when they play in Europe. It's very difficult with the kind of squad they have playing, on Thursdays. And then you have a game on Saturday. It's going to be very, very difficult. So for me, they're going to finish 15. They have to be careful, though, because usually you will get carried away and playing 2 games a week. And then you forgot the main goal for these teams, for teams like Bournemouth, Fulham, all this Everton, Brentford, you want to stay in the league. Yes, it's okay to play in Europe. It's exciting. Some of these teams, they usually get the opportunity. But again, the goal is to stay in the league. You don't want to get carried away. You don't want to be playing tough games away. You got to go to Germany. You got to go to Spain. You got to go to Russia and all these places. And then you come back, you lose into Coventry, you lose into Ipswich Town. Those are the kind of games that will get you, right? Because the big hitters like playing Chelsea and things like that, most people know that you might lose. But again, you want to stay in the league. That's the goal. So for me, I think the attack is still the same. Their Cliver is still there. Krupi is injured, but when he comes back, he's going to be an excellent player. They have Ryan. They have good player. Even Ryan, this Brazilian Ryan, he was in the squad for Brazil. We were even linked to him as Arsenal. So I think their squad is settled. I just think it's going to be a lot of work now. Playing in Europe and playing in the league might take a lot from their squad. Injuries are going to be there. Like I said, for a lot of these teams, the transfer window is still open. So you can go and bring in players and all that kind of stuff. But again, you want to make sure you are protected in the league first. So make the league a priority. So I think for me, they will finish 15th. That's why I have them for the season. I want them to prove me wrong. I just don't think they're going to be able to juggle the Premier League and the Europa League, which is going to be very, very, very difficult for them, right? So yeah, that's my prediction for them. 15th. Let's go 14. 14, I think is going to be Everton. 1 game a week. I think, and the thing about Everton is that they have a really experienced coach over there now. He's been there forever, right? So I think looking at this team itself, Pickford, experienced goalkeeper, one of the best in the league, of course, one of the best in the world. It's the back line for me that I'm a little concerned about because most of them are old now. Trokoski's old, Kane is old. They have young defenders there, Brent Waite and all these kind of guys. Peterson is there now. But again, they just a little. For me, the backline is the issue. The midfield, they've lost a couple of, Idrissa Gana Gay left. They replaced them, really. They have replaced them really well. They brought in Norgard from Arsenal. He didn't play a lot last season. So I think they're going to be fine. They still have, James Garner, for me, was one of the best players for them last season. I'm still surprised he's still there. I don't know. It seems like I think James Garner can do really well at teams like Newcastle and Nottingham Forest, but for some reason, he's still there. They have Drewsbury Hall. I think their team is decent in the midfield. They are not going to go nowhere. I think they're going to be good. They're going to be difficult to beat. David Moyes is not going to be making it easier for no team at all. Especially when you got to go. They just got to improve their their home games. I think they won only 5 games last season. At your new stadium. So if they can improve that, I think they'll be comfortable. I mean, like really comfortable in 14th. They're not gonna go nowhere. They're gonna be hard to beat. They're gonna be depending on set pieces again. They're good in the air. All these center backs are over 6 foot. So you're not gonna win too many ball up in the air on them. So they are gonna be really, really tough. Put Nottingham Forest in 13th place. I know last season they had some struggles, one of the things and then also of course they sold what? One of the best players in the team last season, right? Anderson to Man City, but they also made a lot of money, 114 million pounds. So they made a lot of money from Anderson leaving to join Man City. So they invested that money really well. We will comfortable in the league, but of course, they're not going to be somebody that is a team that is going to make it in the top 5 for me. I think 13 is probably where they will finish. I think last season they finished 18th. No, not 18, 16. Last season they finished 16. So finishing 14, 13, around 13 or 14 this season will be perfect for them. It's an improvement. They don't have Europe this season. I think last season they had Europe. It was a very, very difficult season for them. They even changed a couple of coaches last season just to stay in the league. And they were able to stay in the league. So I think selling Anderson might be huge, but again, it's something that they really what they did was they invested that money, right? They brought in really really good players to help with that team. They brought in Diamande, Usman Diamande, one of the best center backs in Europe for me. I like him a lot. I would have taken him at Arsenal, but again, they brought him for. They brought in a lot of free players, but again, they didn't have to spend a lot of money. They already have a really good base. I think their midfield, their defense is where the power is, right? Because like I said, they sold to Annie, also to Coventry for 9 million. Anderson, 116 million pounds. That's ridiculous. That's a lot of that's a lot of money. So they've made money, but again, if you look at their team, they have one of the best goalkeeper. Also, Max Sells, was the joint goalkeeper for the best goalkeeper in the season before with Devil Raya, Golden Glove as well. So he's a really good goalkeeper, and their backline is ridiculous, right? Murillo, really good. Everybody know Murillo. Diamande, you add that to that team. They got Annie on the right back. Their team is set. They're going to be very hard to beat. Very, very hard to beat, right? In terms of center back wise, they're good. They have so many defenders. I can tell you right now. Nottingham Forest, they have so many defenders. Also the midfield might be an issue because since Anderson left, they're gonna need that box to box power midfielder. They have Sangare, it's not gonna be enough. Then Dominguez for me, it's not gonna be enough either. Morgan Gibbs White, one of the best players. Can play anywhere. Can play as an 8, 10 winger, can play on the left, can play on the right. You can put him anywhere. You can even play as a center forward. He's been one of the best players. He's their captain as well. He carries that team on his back. Him and Anderson last season, they were unplayable for most games, which made them very comfortable playing staying in the league. So I think their midfield is where they're kind of short right now. They do need to bring in a couple of players for sure. Doy, Chris Wood, they're gonna score goals. They're gonna score goals. The thing is to like do it consistently, which I think they will, because they only have one game a week. So again, all these teams that are in the mid-table, stay in the league is the goal. Can you stay in the league? Can you make it harder for you? Can you make your home stadium very difficult to beat? I like Fulham. I think Fulham is going to finish 12th place, mainly because I think I've seen a lot of people predicting Fulham to be struggling this season. I don't think they're going to struggle at all. Yes, they may have lost Marco Silva, but again, the players are still there. I don't think they really. I don't think they really got rid of anybody that was really that big. Yes, they may have let Sasa Lukic leave for Ipswich. Issa Diop for Ipswich as well. It's just spent a lot of money. Colin Cliff, that's free. Some of these guys, only two notable players that we know that was at Fulham that has left, and then that's pretty much it. Sasha Lukic and Issa Diop, which was real good for center back wise for them. But other than that, everybody's still there. They brought in good players too, right? Gonzalo Garcia, I think for me, it's a mistake for Real Madrid to get rid of him. He's a really good young striker. Abelova is coaching him a lot, even in his single debate in the B team for Real Madrid. So Abelova has a lot of experience with him, right? Think they're gonna be fine. But I don't know why people are predicting Fulham to relegate. Some people are saying they're not gonna make it because of Arbeloa. I think Arbeloa is a brilliant coach. He's young. I mean, Real Madrid was just too big for him. The player is just too big for him. I think this is a perfect club where he can come and really develop himself as a coach and get, and learn the English way of coaching and work with experienced players. They have experienced players, born learning experience. The backline is ridiculous. People don't understand. I look at this Fulham backline and they all been there. Tete, Bassi, Cuenca, Anderson. Anderson is one of the best ball playing center back in the league for me. He can whip the ball from any angle, right? Back and forth. He's really good. Yeah, pace might not be there, but he's really good. Castagna, experience. Cesar Young, experience. Anton Robertson, linked to Liverpool so many years now, experience. They have a really, really good team. Backline, they set. I don't think they're gonna have no issues, right? With Abloa coming in with, obviously with coaching big players, this will be perfect for him. Perfect. This Fulham team is not going to go nowhere. I'll be surprised. I want him to finish in the top half of the table. I won't be surprised if I find him, sitting in 10th at the end of the season because I just think they're really good. They are. For 11th place, guys, I have Brighton. Brighton is one of the most difficult teams to play. They are so unpredictable, right? Nothing really didn't change about Brighton. All they did, they just sold some players. The coach is still the same. Uh, the coaching staff is still the same. They're selling Baleba. They sold some players as well. I think they even sell Van Hecker. They sold a lot of players, but they made a lot of money. They sold Van Hecker. They sold Charlie Worstrue for 22 million to Coventry. Wow, some of these guys I've even never heard of. Charlo, I didn't see him play last season. So I think for me, one of the biggest change this season for Brighton is them letting go of Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck was so instrumental for them last season. He scored so many goals. I remember him scoring goals against Chelsea. So I think that for me, I would have kept Danny Welbeck, but letting him go, it might be a huge mistake. They brought in defender, of course. They brought in Tottenham. They brought in player Luka Vuskovic. We don't know him much. He hasn't played much for Spurs, but they paid 50 million for him. And they would be comfortable in the mid table. That first few games, they can beat Aston Villa for sure. Chelsea might be a little, difficult for them. But after that, they got Leeds, they got Coventry, and Arsenal will give them a test, beat them, of course, and they have Sunderland. So I think they'll be comfortable in mid-table. They're not going nowhere. Brighton, they have Mitoma. They have players that can really hurt you a lot in terms of attacking wise. They have one of the best goalkeepers. So have Van Bergen is really good. Let's go to 10th. Let's go to 11th place. I think 10th place. Let's go to 10th. Let's go to 10th. I think 10th it's gonna be Sunderland again. I think they're gonna stay in the league comfortably. I think the only struggle might be Europe. I think they're in Europe this year. I think they're in the Conference League, right? I think they finished, if I can remember, Sunderland finished 7th. So they are in the Conference League this season. The issue will be trying to juggle Conference League and the league and the Premier League. That's going to be tough. And like I said, for most of these teams that are in Europe, can you stay in the Premier League? Because as much as it's good for the club, for the fans to travel to go to these European games and things like that. At the end of the day, if you're not able to stay in the league, it's tough. So I think the priority should be staying in the Premier League. And for a team like Sutherland, it'll be exciting. They still have some of these best players in midfield as well, Granit Xhaka, he's still there. He's experienced. He's seen it all, right? Chelsea tried to sign him. It didn't work out. So their team is still pretty much the same, right? They didn't really do too much in terms of transfer-wise. They didn't buy too much. They only brought in a couple of free players. Thomas Munier, I don't know. He's too old for me, but again, he's a backup. They didn't bring in nothing else. They sold Maeda to Rennes, I swear, for 22 million. They sold Anthony Pedersen to Wrexham for 10 million. I think Sutherland is going to be safe. They're not going to have to worry too much. They just need to focus on the league. Yeah, try not to put too much attention in the Conference League, because if you do, you lose focus in the league. You might drop some point that may be very, very difficult for them to keep up. So I think they're going to be fine. Players are still the same. Their first 5 games the first 3 games are winnable, right? For me, usually the first 3 games can tell where you're going to be. Yes, you're not going to win the first 5 games because, the first 3 games they have Ipswich Town, they have Fulham, they have Brentford. These are teams you can take point off. I think they're going to be fine. They're going to be able to beat Ipswich. They're going to be able to beat Fulham, I think. And Brentford might be difficult, but they have Granit Xhaka. They have all the players there. Granit Xhaka is still there. I think they still have one of the best midfield in terms of defensive midfield wise, So I think they're going to be around. They're not going nowhere. They're not going nowhere. The team's going to be very, very difficult to beat. And of course, after Brentford, they have Arsenal and Man City. Those are games that you can lose. But in terms of the first 3 games, I think for them, the win was to keep hold of Granit Xhaka, really, because I think he's an excellent, excellent player. You do not want to sell Granit Xhaka, right? Let's go to 9. Guys, we're halfway done. Like I said, thank you for being patient. Once again, if you like the video, don't forget to subscribe. And let me know down in the comment section below, who do you think? Which one of these teams, will finish higher than I'm actually putting them? It's one of the teams in the relegation zone going to actually stay up, which I would love to see, honestly. But let me know. Let me know that in the comment. Let's go to 9th place. In 9th place, let's go to 9th place. I have Newcastle. Guys, I know Newcastle have lost a lot of players. They have They've lost their coach. Eddie Howe left. They brought in new coach, Hustler, But again, it's Newcastle. They still have players that have been at this club for so long. I don't think they're gonna be, where they were last season. They've struggled really. They've lost Bruno Guimaraes, their talisman, went to Arsenal, come to us, right? Bruno Guimaraes left, Tonali left, Anthony Gordon left. These are big players. These are players that made the difference. Huge players. The season before, they lost Alexander Isak and all that kind of guys. They even lost a couple of more players I can't even name at the moment. But that squad is so thin at the moment. But again, they're struggling. Really, they're struggling to even bring in players. They're struggling to bring in players that we all can recognize. They don't have much. They really don't have much, right? So with all of that, I still think their coach, according to all the reports, according to all the news that we have watched, they're still exciting. They're going to be exciting. They're going to be their defense is still the same. They did lose Trippier, but again, it's still the same defense. I mean, I'm looking at their squad. You know, they they have Nick Pope still there. They have Tony Liverman. If they can keep Livermento and Lewis Hall, I think their fullback is set. It's the midfield that is an issue. Their defense is set. Botman is still good. Taoni is really good. He's one of Malik Tao is one of the best center back last season in the league. He's still there. Harvey Burns still there. Anthony Elanga. So I think Burns is still there. Walter Mada is still there. They do need to bring in some players, which they are trying to bring in some new midfielders. They were linked to yesterday. They were trying to bring in. They were linked to Nico Gonzalez from Man City, which they're gonna need that kind of midfielder, right? Yeah, they still have midfielder. They brought in some players. They brought in Amatadic from Benfica for £29 million. Edwin Jones from Rennes, 18 million. Saint Stewart, 23 million. Look at how much they brought in some players. Alhaji Bamba, which is one of the best defensive midfielder in Ligue 1 last season, coming from Monaco. I think they're gonna be okay. Right now, it looks all difficult. They brought in Torah from Hoffenheim for 42 million. So they've brought in players. It's not as if it's all that bad at the moment at Newcastle. And I don't know why a lot of people just think they're gonna struggle. And yes, they might struggle, but the pressure is not there. It's just to win one game makes you a week. You don't have Europe. They don't have Europe to worry about. So I think their squad might be thin, but again, the team is still there. Yes, you may have lost Bruno Guimaraes, you may have lost Tonali, you may have lost Anthony Gordon, but they still have the back four that was still there last season besides Trippier. If they can keep hold of Livermento, Ernest Hall, full back position, the center back is set. It said Bodman and Tawani Malik Tower is set. They're good. He's over 6 foot, strong, quick, physical. And the coach, just according to some of the highlights we've seen, is exciting. I think they're going to be safe. I think they're going to finish ninth. They're going to surprise a lot of people this season. Like I said, the pressure's not there. The expectation for them to kill the league this season, it's not going to be there. So their job is just to stay in the league. Can they stay in the league? I think they will. I think they're going to finish above where most people are currently putting them. I'm putting them, for me, they're going to buy more players. We still have, less than 2 weeks for the transfer window. They can bring in a couple of midfielders and another striker that can play on the left. I know Burns is still there, but it might not be enough, right? It might not be enough. So they do need to bring a couple of players just to help. I think they have enough experience to finish in the top half of the league for me. So yeah, I'm putting them in ninth. Let's go to eighth position. In my eighth spot, I have Brentford. I think Brentford, they were the surprise last season because when they lost their coach the season before and everybody thought they were going to struggle, but they were comfortable. They surprised everybody. I think their coach did a really, really good job. So I think it's going to be the same thing again for Brentford this season. They don't have much to worry about. The defense is set. Aaron Hickey is there. Rico Luis. They have really, really good back four. That was what actually saved them last season. Their back four was settled. The midfield is the same thing. They didn't have much changes. Just the Silva is still there. Matthias Jensen is still there. I think they're going to be comfortable, guys. I don't want to go much into this Brentford team. I just think they're going to be okay. There's nothing to worry about here. Their forward line, they have Igor Thiago, one of the best strikers. I don't know how come Igor Thiago is still at Brentford, to be honest. I thought a team like Chelsea, A team like Newcastle can go in for that. I think Newcastle need a striker so bad. They can do it, Igor Thiago. Which other team? Team like Spurs, they can do with him because the striker Spurs I was always injured, right? So I think they're gonna be okay. Watara is still there. Colin Wilson is there. So they're good. In terms of striking force, they're good. They didn't spend a lot of money this season. Of course, like I said, they lost Jordan Anderson, but I think with Jordan Anderson, he was really there in terms of the leadership and everything else he was offering in terms of leadership and support to the players. First few games they are winnable games. To be honest, it's not as if it's gonna be uh, difficult for them to win all these games. They just need to win four games by the end of October. If they can win 4 games by the end of October, I think they're fine. In seventh spot, I think who am I putting in seventh? I think it's gonna be Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa is not going nowhere. Yes, they've lost big players. They have lost some massive, massive players. Players like Morgan Rogers, left to go to Chelsea. Ollie Watkins, nobody is sure about him currently, but they've done good business. I think Aston Villa, they also lost Yogi Tillemans, massive player for them. They lost Onana to injury. He's going to be out for an entire season. So that Aston Villa team might be completely different. We're going to see a lot of new players that are coming in. Donald Mullen left as well. Ollie Watkins, they say he might leave as well. Who else that I can think about? Um, so I know they lost Morgan Rogers, Yoey Tillemans left, Donald Mullen left, like I said. I think those are three of the most notable players left. And then, of course, with the injury to, Andrew Onana, he's massive. He's with, no, of course, they also lost Konsa. He's coming to join us now. So that's massive. That's really, really massive for Villa. They're losing a lot of experienced player. They still have Morgan, McGinn over there and all these guys. But it's going to be enough. They have Boubacar Kamara in the midfield, solid midfield as well. Their midfield might be fine, but they've lost a lot of experience. They brought in Mozambique, from Freiburg for almost £60 million. Joao Gomez, I like Joao Gomez a lot. I think Joao Gomez is pretty much going to be somebody that replace Onana or Telemans. Joao Gomez and Boubacar Kamara will be fine. We saw the way how they gave Paris Saint Germain hard time in the European Cup, in the Super Cup. So they're going to be difficult to beat. Although they've lost a lot of players, some people are putting them down in seventh and eighth. People are putting them in ninth position. They're going to have hard time. Yeah, they're going to have hard time, but they're going to finish in the top half of the table. They're going to finish, for me, I think I'm putting them in seventh place for a couple of reasons, really, because I think Onana for me is a bigger loss. Onana, and of course, going forward, Morgan Rogers going to be massive. Although they have young players coming in like Brian Moja, I like him a lot, which for me is going to be incredible this year. If he gets a game time, if Unai Emery playing, he's going to be incredible. And of course, Unai Emery is there. Villa would not surprise me to finish in the top four again because Unai Emery, for me, him alone is going to worth 10 points. Unai Emery is going to worth 10 points. So having him at Villa, yes, they may lose a lot of players. Only Watkins for their talisman is going to be leaving as well, going to Saudi Arabia. Yeah, they're going to lose him. If they lose him, I think they have Mojo. He's going to be playing there comfortably. Like I said, Suzuki is coming in now for Martinez. That's a really good signing too. But yeah, I think they're going to be fine. Although, like I said, they lost a lot of players. But Villa is Villa. With Unai Emery going to Aston Villa is going to be difficult. And guess who has to play them? We're going to have to play them next weekend. That's going to be a difficult game as well, because their first game they have Brighton. They're going to beat Brighton. We might be difficult for them. We might make it really, really hard for them for, their next game. But again, you never know with Aston Villa. They always want to beat us. With Unai Emery there, like I said, they're going to be fine. They got Brighton, they have us, and then they have Hull City, and then they do have Nottingham Forest. I think they will be able to pick up 3 wins out of 4 at least. And then they have Spurs, and yeah, I think Villa is going to be safe. They have players in that team that people don't want to talk about, but I still think they'll be fine. In 6, I have Spurs, mainly because, again, with Spurs there in transition season as well. New coach, Desabi, it's new, not new, but he's still trying to figure out this sports team. They finished 17 last season back to back. Season before 17, this past season 17 as well. Which for me, I don't understand. I think they were way better than that. I think they had better players. I think one of the issues they had was injuries. Kudus and all these guys were hurt. They were all out. They had a lot of players out on injuries. So they were barely holding on. Kolosevsky, all these guys were out on injuries and all that kind of stuff. So and they changed a lot of changes. The coach, they changed what, three coaches last season? Three coaches. Igor Todo came in after the previous coach left. So with Desabe now came in, he struggled. I still don't trust him 100%. I think Desabe, it will only take few games when things start going wrong, and then everything will fall apart. So that's my only issues with him. I think he's going to transform Spurs, in terms of play style, in terms of build up, in terms of attacking. They're going to be very, very difficult to play. They're going to be very difficult to beat for me. I think they're going to be excellent. That's why I have them in sixth place, because the signing they made, excellent signing. Just Spence. For me, I would have kept Just Spence. They let Just Spence leave as well. Christian Romero, who was their captain last season, didn't do well. He fell apart at the end of the season. He was in Argentina, where they were struggling for staying in the league. They were struggling to stay in the league. And he was in Argentina watching his boyhood club. So they got rid of him. He went to Atletico Madrid now. I think they also sold a player for 50 million to Luka Voskovic to Brighton. I think that's a decent money for somebody that wasn't even playing. So, but I think they're going to be fine. They brought in good players. Tonelli, 100 million. Jan Paul Vahek 52 million. And then, of course, they brought, Debravka for free as a backup goalkeeper. Excellent. Andrew Robertson, excellent. Marco Senesi, excellent. I think they're gonna be really, really comfortable finishing in sixth position. They might even finish higher because it's one game a week. All these teams that have one game a week, it's gonna be massive. Teams like Spurs don't have to prepare for European Conference League games or Champions League games or any of these rubbish games that you have to travel miles and miles, putting making it difficult for the players to get their sleep in and everything else, getting players unprepared. But I think for them, they've spent a lot of money. They spent 300 million, almost close to 300 million, 100 million on Tanali, 85 on Mateus Fernandes, an excellent midfielder. Tanali is an excellent midfielder. I think those two guys will play in most teams, in the midfield for most teams in the top half of the table. So I think they're going to be comfortable. Their first 5 games, not going to be difficult either. You look at the first team. Let me see the games they have. They are winnable games, right? They have Newcastle. They can beat Newcastle. Newcastle is still trying to figure out who's going to be in that midfield. So a lot of teams are in transition. I think at least Desabi has been there for at least half of the season now. So he knows what he's getting into. He knows the player. And the good thing about Spurs is that they brought in these players very, very early, right? So I think they're going to be comfortable against Newcastle. And then they got Nottingham Forest, Everton. And then, of course, they have Aston Villa. So to the end of October, before the first international break, they could win 3-4 games. If they do that, they're going to be comfortable. It's going to make these fans start feeling confident, players start feeling confident, managers start doing what they want. He's going to play. He's going to figure out exactly, at this point, he already knows exactly what he wants to do. He replaced his goalkeeper to a ball-playing goalkeeper now, so I think they're going to be fine. So in sixth place, they'll finish in sixth place, but I would not be surprised if they find themselves in a fifth or fourth position because they don't have nothing to worry about. One game a week. So yeah, for me, I think Spurs are going to be comfortable. They're not going to finish 17 again. Would I want them to relegate last season? They hate Arsenal. They don't like us, so I don't like them either. But I think the coach is going to be decent. They just have to make sure they keep some of these players fit. With Kudus coming back, with the strikers coming back, Kulusevski is coming back, that team is going to be very, very attack heavy, wise, and then defensively we'll see. But I think for me, they should have kept Jet Spence. He's a really good defender. He doesn't give you a lot up front, but defending 1v1 situation, he could have been useful, yeah? So for me, Spurs is going to finish in sixth place. Now let's go to fifth, who I have in my fifth position. In fifth, for me, I have Liverpool. Yes, and there's a couple of reasons why. I think the biggest reason, obviously, is Mo Salah leaving. Mo Salah is massive. Okay, just yes, he wasn't at his best last season, but you're losing a player that actually attracts an entire defense to him when he's on the field. When Mo Salah is on the field, every team is built up to figure out how you stop Mo Salah when he gets on the field. He was their talisman. He's the guy that makes things happen. Now losing him, obviously, it's a huge change. And for the fact that Liverpool have not been able to bring in players that are capable of actually taking Mo Salah's spot, it's an issue. I know they yesterday or this morning we saw a bunch of news that they are linked to Yakuba Mente from Brighton. He could be a good cover, but he's not Mo Salah. Mo Salah is incredible. He's a player you lose, and what you're gonna do replacing him, and they're in the Champions League too. I think the only good thing about Liverpool is that they have players that have been there forever, and then they have players that were not really able to play last season. Like Isak, he struggled with a lot of injury issues. So, with him being fit again, let's see. Yeah, like Isak struggling with a lot of injury issues. With him being fit again, might help them out a lot, right? They also lost Konate. Konate is a massive loss. A lot of fans, Liverpool fans, don't rate Konate much, but he was at the back line. He's a Premier League winner. He's a Premier League winner. He's vastly experienced working with Van Dijk. They were at that back line for a very, very long time, for many years. So for him to go to um, Real Madrid for free is ridiculous. It's awful business for Liverpool. He left, and of course they brought in Jeremy Jacket, the January window, but he was injured a lot. I don't know if he's gonna be fit. They also brought in Araujo from Barcelona, which I think is a good centre back, but he's not Konate. So I think Liverpool are going to be okay in terms of the back four. But for me, that Mo Salah that's a one loss, one thing that I think is going to be an issue. Yes, they brought in Munoz to play on the right side. Is it Munoz? Yeah, you can cover Victor Munoz. Yeah, to cover from Osasuna to cover on the right side, but still it's not enough. It's Mo Salah. They're trying to bring in Bakola. Bakola plays on the left, where you still have players over there, that Ngoma play on the left as well. They link to Bakola. I think Bakola is a left winger. Liverpool don't need a left winger. They think they need a left winger. Bakola will give you a lot, but for me, you have Cody Gakpo over there. You have Ngoma over there. Even Florian Wirtz can play on the left side if you need him to. I think the investment should really go into getting a right winger, which is why I think when they say they're trying to get Yakuba Mente, it's a good signing, but he's no more Salah. And then of course with Slot leaving and then bringing Andelo Arola, he's a good coach. But Liverpool is completely different. It's a different kind of fish, man. You have Champions League games. Van Dijk is still not the same. McAllister is not the same. Gravenberch is still there. That defense, Van Dijk is not the same. So they will struggle. The fullback areas for me, that's where the issue is. Jeremy Frimpong, we don't know if he's a right fullback or not. They have Bradley over there, but still, I think Liverpool is not going to finish in the top four. I think for me, I'll just put them in fifth place, same place that they finished last season. They finished fifth last season. They're still going to qualify for Champions League, but I think it's going to be a whole lot. There's a lot of changes, guys, with this Liverpool team. They still have players that can play in the top three teams in world football. Isak from Verse still over there. Ekatike is still injured, is out. So I think they're going to struggle in terms of especially not in the first few weeks, but when Champions League starts, you're looking at games that are coming thinking fast. You gotta settle, you gotta adapt. You got a bunch of players, defenders that are new to the league. Jeremy Jacket not fit. Robinson left as well. So I think Liverpool is gonna have a lot of issues because again, with the coach, Antonio Areola, everybody's talking about him, singing his praise, including me. I think he's a decent coach, but Liverpool is just too much for him at the moment. So we'll see. But yeah, for me, Liverpool in the fourth place, I'm putting Man City. Why am I putting Man City over there? They still could finish. They can prove me wrong, but I think they'll finish in fourth. There's a lot of issues at Man City, a lot of changes. We watched them in the Community Shield playing against Arsenal. They just look ordinary now. Massive changes for me. People don't talk about it a lot, but for me, they'll be lucky if they finish in the top four. I would not be surprised if they finish outside of the top four, outside of the top five. But for me, the reason why I'm currently putting them in the top four because they still have players that have done it, players that have won multiple championship, and players that have won multiple League Cup, players that have won multiple Champions League games, players that have won a lot of cups, like a lot of trophies. So, but for me, the struggle is gonna be when things get busy. December, January, February, Champions League game on a Tuesday, you have a game on a Saturday morning at 6 a.m. That's going to be tough. You get one injury to Haaland, you're in trouble. You're in a lot of trouble. Who is the Haaland backup? That's my bigger issue. You take Haaland out, they look ordinary. They look ordinary. Even in the Community Shield, they take Haaland out. I don't know how they were going to score goals. They're not gonna score goals. They lost Rodri. They lost so many players. They lost the main piece. Pep Guardiola gone. Rodri gone. Bernardo Silva gone. Nelson Ake gone. Randers gone. Right? So they've lost so many players. Bernardo Silva, for me, people don't talk about it much, but Bernardo Silva, he was one of the most underrated midfielder I've seen. He's one of the most underrated midfielder I've seen in the league. This man can play anywhere. He was so trusted under Pep Guardiola. He can play 10, 8, 6, 7, 11, even center forward. He plays everywhere. He was one of the most linchpin in any central midfield in Europe. He played a lot of games. And for them to lose him just like that, it's a big loss. How do City replace that? Yes, they brought in Anderson, 160 million. But City is different. You bring in Anderson, who's going to play next to him? Nico Gonzalez is linked to Newcastle, is going to leave. Randes left. Who do you put next to Anderson? Yes, I know there's a lot of news about Boadi. Boadi is going to be new to the league. Kovacic, he's old. Doesn't have the pace anymore. Doesn't have the power in the legs anymore. Who is he going to bring? I mean, yesterday was news that they linked to Manu Kone, again, new to the league. I think that midfield is going to be an issue, a massive issue for me. They still have, of course, Phil Foden. He plays at 10. Shark is still there. All these guys is there. They can attack. But the problem is that number 9 and all these guys they've lost. They've lost a lot of players, a lot of experienced players. John Stones also left. Nathan Ake, they used to come in as a backup centre back, as a backup left back left. So they are thin. They're still the same. Yes, they have centre back there. McGahey and Gabriel is there. Gavardiol is still there. But still, the attack. You look at our attack. They brought in. They brought back Jack Grealish. Don't look like he's effective. I think he's gonna leave too. So City do have to sign in. They do have to sign a lot of players. I know we still have less than 2 weeks to go in the transfer window. Bring in a couple of midfielders. Bring in a winger, which I think they need, and a centre forward. Mamouche is linked today to leave as well. So they have a lot of players leaving. Mamouche gonna leave. I mean, Spurs is linked with them. That's ridiculous. They sell Mamouche, who's gonna come in for Haaland when he's out. I think they have to keep Mamouche, right? They have Semenyo on the right. Semenyo is not a right winger. He likes playing on the left, so he's going to have to be a winger. He really has to be a left winger. Bernardo Silva used to play there, but he's gone. So Semenyo has to be a left winger. So they do have a lot of work to do, which I think for me, Moresca is going to figure it out, but they're not going to be able to finish in the top 3 for me. They might even struggle to finish in the top 5. I just have them there because they still have Haaland, they have Phil Foden, they still have Ruben Diaz, they still have Gavardio, who's one of the best centre back for me. But I think the huge City, I would have preferred them to actually bring in a coach that is like a maverick, somebody like Julian Nagelsmann. He has a different belief. He's just a different coach, right? He's a maverick, he's chaotic. City needs somebody like that. I think Moresca is too structured. I don't think Haaland, if they start losing games, if they don't start winning games right away, there's going to be a lot of unsettling at that club, which can even put them in a lot of issues, finishing outside of the top 5, top 6. I said that, I say you have them 4th. Now, 3rd place for me is going to be United. They have a lot of experienced players. They brought in a lot of experienced players, Telemans, Andres Santos. The attack is still really ridiculous for me. If you look at, they have, Bremo over there. They have Sheshko over there. They have a lot of players, right? Marcus Rashford, it looks like they will keep Rashford as well. So, Cunha is still over there. I think they will be decent going forward. It's the defense that I'm a little worried about. Maguire, if he's injured, who do you bring in? The little thing there, they're trying to bring in Baleba as well. So United for me, although they're going to be in Champions League before last season, they played one game a week. So it was a lot easier for them. But now they have two games when Champions League start. Are they going to be okay playing Champions League and the Premier League at the same time? I think they will. Bruno Fernandes still there. That midfield is going to be really, Kobe Mino, Telemans, and then Andres Santos with Baleba. If Baleba comes, that gives them an extra bite in that midfield as well. So I think they're going to be decent. They're going to be fine. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. They're going to finish third again for me. The attack is still fine. Amad Diallo is still there. I think they're going to be okay, honestly. They should be able to handle that Premier League game, and then of course with the Champions League game coming, I think they'll be fine. I think for me, I still have them third. Michael Carrick has done a decent job, really good job. Since he came in, the difference is gonna be now Champions League, Premier League. Injuries are gonna come, So I think they're gonna be really, really fine. They just need to sign. I think for me, they need to bring in another centre back. They need to bring in another centre. If they bring in another centre back, I think they're gonna be fine, comfortable in the Champions League, qualify again for Champions League season, and then also push for the Premier League all the way. So for me, United, third place. Second place for me is going to be Chelsea. Now, I know, again, for me, these teams that have one game a week, it's massive. It's massive for their season. Chelsea, for me, the reason why I still have them in the second place, I think they have two of the best midfielders for me that can even play for Arsenal. They can play for City. They can play in the top teams in Europe. Okay, Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, for me, they can get into any team in Europe. They can get into Arsenal team. They can get into City team. They can get into United team. They can get into that Barcelona team, Real Madrid, Juventus, even Bayern Munich's team. They can get into any team. Moise Caicedo is going to be able to play in any team that he goes to. So for me, because of that, and then of course, Morgan Rogers going to score a lot of goals. They're going to have a lot of creativity. Morgan Rogers and Cole Palmer, you play those guys, you figure out how to fit both of them in, guys, they're going to create chances. There's going to be a lot of goals for Joao Pedro to score. They brought in experience as well. Danny Welbeck, one game a week. Pedro Neto is still there. Esteval is still there. They're going to be decent. They're not going to go nowhere. I think they're going to push Arsenal all the way. One game a week. They brought in Liverpool is fit again, right? With James is still there. They brought in a centre back from Crystal Palace, still going to be there, set. Lacroix. I think Chelsea are going to be really, really difficult to beat this season with Mark Alonso there. Let's see this Chelsea team. I think they're going to be hard to beat. My only issue is they have to keep Moise Caicedo fit, because I just don't see them. They don't have enough in terms of the midfield wise. They brought in Jordan Anderson to help as well, but again, they have to keep the team fit. If they can keep Moise Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, I know Man City is trying to do everything they can to get access to Enzo Fernandez, which they don't have to let Enzo Fernandez leave. He has to stay. By all means, Chelsea has to keep him. If they sell Enzo Fernandez, I think they will be in a lot of trouble. But if they're able to keep Enzo Fernandez, keep Moise Caicedo happy with one game a week, keep that back line, leave a Colwell on one side, play that back three, leave a Colwell, and then you also have Reece James still over there, can cover in multiple positions. They also have Coriander, the winger they brought in as well. I think they're going to be fine. They're going to be, their first few games are decent games that they can beat this team. They can beat Fulham. They have Fulham, they have Luton Town in League Cup. They have Brighton after that. I think the tough game is going to be Arsenal. After that, they have Hull, Brentford. They have Brentford, they have Bournemouth, they have Everton. I think Chelsea is going to be fine. I think they're going to push Arsenal all the way. One game a week with this team. I'm looking at this team that they have currently. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think Chelsea is going to be comfortable in second place. Really, I think they're going to push Arsenal. They are settled with Alonso there. One game a week with that defense. Feel attacking toward at 10-8. They're going to be really, really good. They're going to score a lot of goals. I have them in the second place. Now, first place, of course, you probably know. I think first place is going to be Arsenal back to back. I want them. I have to be. I'm not being biased. I just think they're just too good. I can be biased, but I will not be biased. I don't see any. I've not seen too many YouTubers that have predicted for Arsenal not to win the league just because of the kind of players they have. Every single position. I don't even have to look at their squad. I just know the squad they have. I know that Mikel Arteta is building a wall of London. So many defenders. He loves buying defenders. We're just gonna add again Konsa to the back line, which I think we needed. I've made a few videos as well about us bringing another centre back just because Saliba is out, and now we already did that. So I think we said the back line is ridiculous. We have what, 8 players? 8. We can almost fill a whole team with centre backs if we want to, with defenders, right? Right back, Ben White. When Timber is fit, is there. Konza can cover now. Centre back, Konza, Mosquera. Mosquera can even cover right back if we need him to. So right centre back, Mosquera, Konza, Saliba when he's fit. Ben White can even cover there. Timber can even cover there. Left centre back, Nkapia can cover there. Gabriel can cover there. It's ridiculous, man. Even Konza can play left centre back. Left back, we're going to have Nkapia can cover there. Calafiori can cover there. Even Maestro Skelly can cover there. Even Timber can play there. It's crazy. It's crazy amount of defenders. Midfield, my goodness, it's ridiculous. You're looking at 2 of the best center midfielders in the Premier League, if not the world, right? Bruno G and Declan Rice. I don't know what team's going to do against Arsenal in terms of that midfield. It's crazy amount of player. Quality is there. Depth is there. Maestro Skelly, one of the best already. We've seen what he can do. He's not even going to start. He's going to be on the bench. It's ridiculous, guys. Honestly, I think for me, Arsenal win the league just because of the depth they have, because of the experience they have. Mikel Arteta knows what to do now. They are good in set pieces. They are good in managing game. They have technical players. Bukayo Saka, when he's fit, hopefully he stays fit this year. Hopefully he get back into Bukayo Saka himself. He's going to be unplayable. Christian Zolis is going to be unplayable sometimes in the games. We already can see what he can do. He can create chances. And we're still in the market for another left winger. Think about if we're able to bring in players like Bakola, right? That's going to be crazy. I know people talk about Kenny Yildiz. Kenny Yildiz is the same as Christian Zolis. The attacking left wingers, they like to come in and you want a pacey, quick left winger that is direct. Yes, Bakola might be 140 million, which I think is crazy amount of money. We don't need to go that far, but if we can bring him in for like 100 million, it's perfect. Right? Left winger, center forward, I think we're fine. I think, except we sell Gabriel Jesus. If we sell Gabriel Jesus, then you need to bring in another center forward. A lot of the talk is, of course, to bring in another center forward if Gabriel Jesus leaves, which I understand that. But, with Kai Havertz, of course, with Kai Havertz is there. We Gyökeres over there. I think we're fine. If we don't bring in another center forward, I think we'll be fine. We just bring in a left winger. Right wing is set. Bukayo Saka is good. Bukayo Saka can play on the right wing. You also have Madueke. A lot of people don't rate Madueke, but I still think Madueke is decent. He does the job really good. Managers like to play him. It's not just Mikel Arteta. Okay, we saw Thomas Tuchel playing him consistently. There's something he's doing right that all these managers like to pick him. So I think, for me, him and Saka, you got Max Diamond over there as well that can debutize if we need him to. Midfield is ridiculous, right? You're looking at Martin Odegaard. If he's fit, hopefully he stays fit. We can see what he can do with the goal that he scored against City. Martin Odegaard, fit. Talk about Eze. No space in the midfield, even for Eze, on the bench. Martin Zubimendi, on the bench. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. That Arsenal team is going to be scary to play against week in and week out. And we're adding more. This news that we're going to add 2 more players. I don't know where. You add 2 more players. It's ridiculous. I think the left wing, I think 1 more player is fine. I can go 1 more player. It's fine. But again, Arsenal is going to win the league. It's not going to be easy because one of the most difficult things to do, obviously, is to defend your title. We've never done it. Arsenal have never been able to go back-to-back. Other teams have done it. Chelsea, City, and then I think United did it also back-to-back. That's pretty much it. So it's not easy for Arsenal to do it. So the goal is to do back-to-back. And of course, can we go 1 more step in the Champions League, which is going to be difficult. But with Bruno, with Declan Rice, with Odegaard, Maestro Skelly, Mikel Merino in that midfield, Eze, I think we have enough. I think we have enough to go back to back in this league and also push all the way for the Champions League. So, guys, that's my prediction. I think Arsenal is gonna finish in as the winner again, unfortunately. So I'm gonna go over again my Premier League prediction. Again, 20th is going to be Hull City. 19th is going to be Ipswich for me. Coventry is going to finish 18th. Leeds is going to be 17th. Crystal Palace 16th. Bournemouth 15th. Everton 14th. Nottingham Forest is going to finish 13th. Fulham 12th. Brighton is going to finish 10th. Brighton. Sunderland 10th. Brighton is going to be finishing 11th. Sorry. Sunderland is going to finish 10th. Newcastle 9th. Brentford 8th. Aston Villa, with all the changes there, I think they're going to finish 7th. Spurs, new changes, bunch of players, new ideas. I'm happy for them. I don't want them to finish anywhere close to us, but again, I'm happy for Desabe. I think he's a really good coach. They're going to finish 6th. Liverpool, they're going to need the right winger. Mo Salah effect is going to catch them this season. 5th, again, same as they did, see the 4th. A lot of changes there. Midfield is gone. Bernardo Silva is gone. Also, you're looking at Pep Guardiola, which there's nobody better than Pep Guardiola. His hardest job to do is to come after Pep Guardiola. Man United third again, just like they did last season. Chelsea, they're going to be the surprise for me. I think the squad they have, the one game a week, the manager they have, he has experience winning the league, winning going the entire season unbeaten in the German league. A lot of experience, Alonso. And of course, Arsenal finishing first back-to-back. For me, I think they're just going to be too good for anybody in this league, regardless. People can talk about all they want, set pieces. I think they're going to be comfortable. They're going to be comfortable going back-to-back this season. There's not going to be too much. There's not going to be nobody that's going to be up to their level. They're just going to be too much depth. They can lose a player. They can lose 4 players at the back and still be comfortable in most of these games. So I'm not even going to go through the games they have to play. I know Coventry tomorrow, which I think if everything goes as planned, they should be able to win that game comfortably as well. So yeah, that's my prediction for the Premier League. I want to be proven wrong, but one thing I don't want to be proven wrong, I do want to see Arsenal win the league again. For us to go back to back. I think we're too big for us not to go back to back. If we can go back to back, it will actually do a massive changes at the club. Fans will start thinking about Arsenal differently, especially rival fans, right? That's my prediction, guys. Let me know what your prediction is for the season. For the upcoming season, I want to be proven wrong. Like I said, again, this is going to be massive for some of this club. Let's take a few minutes, just a minute to add the award season. I think Premier League prediction awards, obviously, usually it's a thing that a lot of people wouldn't do, but I'm just going to say, for me, the Golden Boot, again, is going to be Haaland. Haaland's going to score goals. He's going to continue to score goals. He's going to score the most goals, so he's going to win the Golden Boot player of the season. For me, it's going to be Bukayo Saka. If he can stay fit, he's going to bang in 10, 15 goals with 10 assists this season. We'll give him player of the season. Christian Zoll is going to be the signing of the season. People are going to underestimate him, but I think even before he came, I was already singing his praise because I saw what he did at Club Brugge, right? Manager of the season, Xavi Alonso, is going to move Chelsea to the top. I think Chelsea is going to be difficult to play. Golden Glove, David Raya, there's not going to be no debate on that. That defense, Arsenal defense, is scary. It's scary, guys. Most assists, Cole Palmer is going to make a lot of chances for Ja Pedro. Him and Morgan Rogers are going to be a lot. Ja Pedro is going to enjoy himself this season with goals. Aston Villa, they're going to have the young player for me of the season, Brian Mojo. Scary. Watching him against PSG is ridiculous, right? Danny Welbeck is going to be value signing. Any team that has Danny Welbeck sitting at the bench, you could be winning games, 2-1, 3-1, and you need a player. You want to take off your main striker just to give him a break. You can play Danny Welbeck in the League Cup and he will provide, he will give you goals as long as the balls are going to go to him. So, yeah, those are my Premier League predictions. Those are my Premier League award predictions. I hope I'm wrong about a lot of these because I do want a lot of teams to stay in the league. But I also, the one thing I don't want to be wrong about is Arsenal winning the league. I want to be 100%. And I think Arsenal will win the league. There's just not enough. All these teams don't have enough to really stay consistently to compete with Arsenal this season, unfortunately. But yeah, it's going to go wrong. Let me know down in the comment below who's your top 5, who's going to be your top goal scorer, who's going to win the league, who's going to be your young player as well, and we can all have a conversation about it next time, right? Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video and share the video as well. It will mean a lot to me. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much, and bye.